Welcome to the first The Legends Comicast video review for a comic. So today we are going to review Detective Comics number 27, which is an homage to Detective Comics 27 from the 1940s, which first introduced Batman. So it's a bunch of different stories together that ultimately don't really have anything to do with each other, but they're really cool different takes on the characters. So each story is going to be reviewed individually, and then I'll review the book as a total. So the first story is called A Case of the Chemical Syndicate. It's written by Brad Meltzer, and the art is by Brian Hitch. It's okay. I would give it overall a score of about 5 out of 10. The problems with the book come from the fact that it has a weird dual narration thing going on. It throws off the whole story. It makes it hard to follow. There's a repeating motif of I do this because kind of a thing, and it doesn't really work well for the story. I do like the art. The art's okay. There's some weird body dysmorphia issues, but then I like the color scheme. I like the old blue and gray suit Batman. So overall, 5 out of 10. Not the strongest entry in the series. The second story is called Old School. It's written by Greg Hurwitz, and the art is by Neil Adams. I love the evolving art. It kind of starts with a 1950s look, and then it moves its way up into like what you would expect in like the late 70s, the same time period that Neil Adams was really a big artist, contributing artist in the scene. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek gags, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of cool stuff that you don't see in comic books anymore. I like it a lot. The dream scene was kind of interesting. Overall, the whole book is made by the art, so I would give it about an 8 out of 10. Check it out. It's the strongest of the first couple stories in the book. The next one is called Better Days. It's written by Peter J. Tomasi, I think is how you pronounce his name, and the art is by Ian Bertram. I didn't like the art, so don't kill me, because I know a lot of people out there are probably going to love it, but I didn't like the art that much, but the story was awesome. It was an interesting take on Batman's 75th birthday and what he chooses to do during his birthday party, which is, of course, go out and fight crime. Why would Batman do anything else other than that? That's what he does. But it was a really cool story. One of the very last lines in the story is, especially in the dark, referring to he shouldn't be out there, he's an old man. But it's a really cool, the way they deliver it is really awesome. I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's an awesome story. The next story is called Rain. It's the best story in the entire issue. It's amazing. It's written by Francisco Fraccavella, I think is how you say that. If I'm wrong, sorry. But the art is awesome. The story is very short. It's only about 5 pages long, but at the very end you see a glimpse of a character you haven't seen in a while. It's very interesting. It harkens back to a story called The Black Mirror, written by Scott Snyder. Very good story, very awesome art. Check it out. It's shortest and it's awesome. Next story is called The Sacrifice. It is written by Mike W. Barr, and the art is by Gilliam March. It reminded me of an old episode of Batman the Animated Series, kind of how it was laid out. It is a healthy reflection of how the world would be if Batman never existed, how the DC Universe world would be if Batman never existed. It's a pretty cool story. The art really didn't do it for me, but the story was strong enough that I would kind of give it an 8 out of 10. There's not really a whole lot here to I guess too much of a discussion about it. The Phantom Stranger's in it. You can check it out. It's alright. The next story is called Gothtopia. It's written by John Layman, and the art is by Jason Fabok. It's, I guess, going to be the first part of a number of different books to carry this kind of mini story in the background, but it basically, if you ever get a chance to watch Batman the Animated Series, or if you're pretty familiar with it, you're going to recognize the story right off the bat because it's almost a direct copy of a story that was in there already. The art is awesome. Don't get me wrong, I like Jason Fabok's art. It's pretty good. And there's a reference to a character in there called Catbird, which is alright, but the story isn't exactly super original. Overall, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. Hopefully the next couple books make up for it, but it's okay. The last book The last story in the book is called 27. It's written by my personal favorite writer, Scott Snyder, and the art is by Sean Murphy. This team also brought us this year's best comic, in my opinion. It's called The Wake. Check it out. It's like The Abyss meets Road Warrior. It's really weird book, but 27 is pretty cool. I won't ruin the premise of it for you, but it's basically the equivalent of, everyone knows that Batman only has a certain shelf life. What happens when Batman gets older? How does he continue fighting crime? Well, Batman has a contingency plan for everything, so he's already thought of that. So it's pretty cool. The art is amazing. The story is pretty cool. There's a lot of Easter eggs that refer to the current Batman arc that Scott Snyder's doing. And there's a line in there where someone who will remain nameless says, "You'll find out, we all do," and that's the best line in Detectives Comics 27. It's a really cool thing. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. So overall, the whole book, the entire comic book, Detective Comics number 27, I would probably give an 8.5 out of 10. It's really strong. There's a kind of a weak entry that starts it out with A Case of the Chemical Syndicate, but between titles like Rain and 27 and the one about the tongue-in-cheek one with Neil Adams, that kind of, it's really good. I think the whole comic is the best issue of Detective Comics that I've read in a long time. So DC pulled out all the stops. Check it out. It's about $7 or $8. See ya, dudes.